Novak Djokovic is into yet another Grand Slam semi-final. We'll be getting onto the records in a sec, talking about his match with Taylor Fritz. But I think we just need to reflect on the historic achievements of Novak Djokovic because semi-final, he's been in all the semi-finals of the Grand Slams this season at 38 years young. I mean, what an achievement that is in itself.
That is crazy when you think about it. And it's also crazy when we think about it from the perspective of this hasn't been a great season for Novak Djokovic, when actually he's been there or thereabouts the entire year.
He's not even played many tournaments.
He hasn't. I
He's
mean,
only won one title.
and I mean, it was the important one though, 100th title. So that's another record. But
The Geneva 250. That is a very, very big title.
yeah, I think he went there with one mission and he left with the title. But he might be leaving with another title here. But I mean, for now, I mean, 7 times he's made it to all 4 slams. And to do that at 38, he hasn't done that necessarily every year when he was younger. So doing it at this age, I think, is kind of monumental. But it does kind of make you ask the question around his achievements. Like, this is why players like Taylor Fritz don't really get a look in, because players like Novak Djokovic over the years have been so consistent at kind of beating the best of the rest.
He really does have a stranglehold, regardless of what form you might think he's in, regardless of what ailments you might think he has. He just seems to find a way. But I guess what is kind of interesting is that even though he is this kind of model of consistency over time, I still feel like with this season, we've not really kind of spoken about him as a true Grand Slam contender or potential Grand Slam champion. And I think one of the reasons for that is if you actually look at the semi-finals he has been in this season, they have just not been competitive. In the Australian Open, well, I say not competitive. I mean, unfortunately, in the Australian Open that was competitive against Zverev, but he had to retire. And then at Wimbledon and the French Open, straight sets, I think, defeats in both to Jannik Sinner. Now, of course, Jannik Sinner is an unbelievable prodigy on the tennis court, and there's no disgrace losing to someone like him. But do you feel like there's any difference with this US Open and the fact that he's got Carlos Alcaraz on the other side of the net?
It's a better draw for him, that's for sure. He did beat him in Australia, which actually probably did end up costing him the chance of going
Mm.
further. The points you've made around the matches he's had in semi-finals is that he has run out of steam, and that's what he's been talking about, that age catches up with you, and that's why he hasn't played like a lead-in tournament to this. He just played 4 games of a mixed doubles in kind of fan week. That's all he's done because he didn't have enough left in the tank at semi-final stage. So he is dependent on matches not going too long, not because he's not in unbelievable shape, but because he's not a spring chicken like Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz, who can seemingly, go forever. I mean, AI, Jannik Sinner. I think if Jannik Sinner is AI, then Carlos Alcaraz is, I mean, something else. The Jill Seb Bunny of the tour. But I mean, he doesn't have that luxury. So he needs to have a full tank when he gets to this stage. And I think probably based on his run this time, he might be at the best level of full stage that we've seen. He hasn't had a 5-setter. This one was very close, but I mean, he was still able to get it done in 4.
He was indeed. I mean, Taylor Fritz did give a good go of it, and it really did come down to, I think, who played the business points, the big points best, and that was Novak Djokovic, particularly on all those break point chances. I mean, Taylor Fritz failed to convert. I think 10 out of 11 break points in
It
the
was,
first two
yeah,
sets alone.
yeah, 2 of
Um,
13 for the match, Joel.
Great, yeah, like unbelievable numbers. I mean, this is why Novak Djokovic is who he is. I mean, we've spoken, I feel like in the past about his tie break record, his mentality. I actually think him against an American crowd as well. We know how he loves to use that siege mentality on the court in a positive way. Um, so yeah, it was interesting after the match. Djokovic said that he felt like he was lucky. Chris, how do you assess that? Do you feel like Djokovic was lucky to get the victory?
When matches are really close, I think he's just kind of alluding to the fact that some of those moments could have gone either way, like a break of serve at a key moment. even though he did break Fritz's serve 4 times, it's not easy to break Fritz. So
Mm.
I think what he meant by that wasn't that he was lucky to get through, but it's one of those matches where even though it was 4 sets, you count yourself lucky to progress and to have won those big points. There's not a lot of luck when it comes down to it with Novak Djokovic because he is playing big points well. That's what he does. That's what champions do. I think he's probably being a bit modest there, because he was playing some great tennis. And
Mm.
you'd say that if he had, in fact, lost that match, he was unlucky to have lost it. So that's the flip side of things. But for Taylor Fritz, it's not necessarily a case of, unlucky number one. It's unlucky, is this number 11 or 12 that he's lost to Djokovic so far?
Yes, I mean he is still searching for the W against Djokovic. Djokovic in the head-to-head is undefeated, 11-0. Chris, there are a couple of other players actually who Djokovic has an unbeaten head-to-head
Mm.
against. So we have
We know one of them,
we
Monfils,
have Fritz.
famously.
Yeah, Gael Monfils. He's 20-0. So Fritz,
It's
I
got a
mean, maybe
sting.
he can look at the Monfils head to head and maybe feel a little bit better about himself. But also Raonic, Seppi, and Shardy. Djokovic also has like Titanic kind of head to
Yeah.
head unbeaten records against.
Well,
But
he's a fantastic returner. There's some big servers in there. So maybe you've got to do a lot more than just, slam down some aces to beat Novak. That's
mm,
for sure.
I mean, just talking about Taylor Fritz, I mean, I think he will obviously be disappointed in terms of how he played the kind of the big points. I would also add his first serve percentage as well. It wasn't terrible, but I think when you're playing someone like Novak Djokovic, where the margins are so small, he would have probably have liked it to be a bit higher, particularly because it was devastating kind of when it went in. And I think just generally also his level of play. I mean, it felt at times both players were searching for their best form, and we didn't really necessarily see that perhaps until later on in the match, maybe in the fourth set. But were you kind of surprised with Fritz kind of his performance, given we had him on Ash in front of his crowd, and it felt like at times he was sort of searching, scratching around for his A game.
I'm not sure he believed he was going to win the match. I think when you have a record like that,
Mm.
it doesn't necessarily give you confidence in the moment. And, Djokovic is a player where the more you think, I've got a chance, the more you get yourself into a state where you think maybe you should be winning the match. Maybe this is the opportunity. Djokovic is 38. He isn't winning majors anymore, or, well, at least not for the last couple of years. So then you do feel more pressure as the younger player, the American on home soil. This is the time to get your victory, and you might not get a better chance against the greatest of all time. So I think pressure can get to people in very different ways. And when you're given like the perfect opportunity potentially to face Novak Djokovic at this stage of a Grand Slam and maybe make a point, you
Mm.
really want to make sure that you do that. And it can really get in your head. And, 2 of 13, break points won. It speaks for itself, not playing the big points well. He only served 2 more aces than Novak Djokovic
Yeah.
for the match, which just
And it
made.
ended on a double fault
I
as well.
know, I
Yeah.
know. It was tough viewing, but Morgan Riddle, I'm sure she's made some money as well this tournament, and so has Taylor Fritz.
Yeah, I mean, Djokovic is into a record-setting semi-final. He has now got the most Grand Slam singles semi-final appearances, men or women, 53 in total. He eclipses Chris Evert, who was on 52. Roger Federer was on 46. Martina Navratilova 44. Serena Williams on 40. Rafa not even in the top five, which is probably incredible in itself given the number of slams that he won. But again, just going back to that point on model of consistency, Djokovic also now has 194 wins at hard court slams. Chris, I guess the question is the performance that Djokovic put in against Taylor Fritz, does it give you confidence that he can do the business against Carlos Alcaraz, or do you think he still needs to find a few more gears?
Oh, that's a tricky question because I want to be the optimist here. I mean, I'm a big Carlos Alcaraz fan. I'm also
He's
really,
not won a set yet in the semi-finals this season.
I know, and I just think that Djokovic is such a fantastic player, but I do believe him when he says that age catches up with you and that he is struggling physically more than he has done previously. And I think there's always going to be a turning point. I do think it is quite strange when you think about the fact that he was so close to like completing the Grand Slam in 2023. And then in 2025, we're like, old age catches up with everyone. I mean, it's just a couple of years ago. And just 2 years ago, he did win the title here. So I'm hoping, again, that he is being a bit modest with some of those things and some of the images of him doubled over are just genuinely him recovering in a way that is, visibly looks like he's quite tired, but not that he is as tired as he looks. But long story short, I think Carlos Alcaraz has just looked way too good this tournament. I think this is the best he's looked at a slam coming into this stage, and he hasn't dropped a set. So probably better to play against Alcaraz than Sinner at this stage, given what's happened so far this year. But at the same time, and this is a different sort of Alcaraz, a very serious Alcaraz we're seeing here. I do think it's going to be more than 3 sets. Alcaraz is going to lose a set. I think it might be 4 sets, and I think it's going to be
Alcaraz.
4 sets Alcaraz, but close.
Oh, okay. 4 sets Alcaraz. I'm gonna
You
go.
didn't even ask me, Joel. Why am I volunteering
No,
that?
no. I was waiting to be like prediction time, Chris. But
Yeah.
you jumped the gun there. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Djokovic in 4. I think that's the only way he is going to win. If it goes to a 5th set, I think that's going to favor Carlos Alcaraz, particularly given all the kind of physical conditionings we've seen with Djokovic. I wonder if that's going to have an impact. But certainly, I think the way Djokovic is playing and given the recent history between the two, I'm going to favor him. I didn't think I was going to be saying that at the start of the tournament. But yeah, it's going to be a really intriguing one because it feels like they're both. Well, Alcaraz certainly is playing very, very well. And we know that Djokovic has the capability to kind of match him as well. So, yeah, it will be very interesting.
You feel kind of a bit sorry for whoever makes it because then you're most likely going to face Jannik Sinner. So you've got
Yeah,
to do it all again, right?
exactly. It's slowly becoming, like it was for Andy Murray, having to defeat 2 of 3 of Djokovic, Federer, um, Nadal.
Mm.
Djokovic is now sort of finding himself in these situations at slams where he's realistically going to have to face one of Sinner or Alcaraz in the final, sorry, in the semi-final, and then the other one in the final. It's almost
Yeah,
like the new test, I
it
think.
is for sure. I'm not a test that many people will probably be able to get through.
Yeah, especially at 38 years old. I do think there is some kind of question on the fact that again, I remember when we were kind of going through the peak of Roger Federer, and the talk was, oh, he's post 30 years old.
Mm.
Can he win? How many more Grand Slams can he win? And Djokovic has rewritten, I think that conversation. It's almost like winning slams after 30 years old. That's nothing. Try winning slams after 35 years old.
Yeah, I mean, Serena won 10 slams after turning 30, but not many of them were in the last years of her career. So Djokovic is completely rewriting the book on, how to be an athlete in tennis, competing in it's such a physical game that it is now. So, I mean, good luck to him. I'm very pleased it's not me who's facing against these tournaments.